Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're going to do something a little different. We're not going to build anything. We're not going to show anything. We're not going to do the home tour, even though I know you guys are looking forward to that. Today we're going to focus on where we're at as a channel, what we've accomplished up to this Halloween, and then where we're going, what we're going to do in the future, what we're going to build. I've got a whole list of things that I want to cover, and I'll kind of go through a timeline and kind of share some of those things with you as well. But first, I do want to share some other information. You guys know that we have dogs. We love our dogs. Our children are grown and out of the house, and we kind of replace them with dogs, and we just get a kick out of them, and we enjoy hanging out and spending time with them and playing with them. You guys have seen them all on the video. As a matter of fact, you just saw our old lab Indy, who just passed. I'll just come right out and say it. She's no longer with us. She passed earlier this last week, and that was my wife's dog, and so she's very heartbroken as a result of that, as you can only imagine. Our dogs mean everything in the world to us, so we're kind of sad about that. We're very fortunate to have had her in our lives for 15 years, and we both know that. But it's hard. It doesn't matter how old they are. It's tough to do stuff like that. Going into it that's going to happen at some point, but you try not to think about that until you have to. And we had to on Monday, so we're kind of reeling to get through that. So patience is the key, like everything else, but we're okay, and things are moving forward as you would imagine they would. And so I know you guys want to see the home tour, but we're just not quite ready yet. I think we're gonna go out of town, not this week, but the following week. We've had a little vacation plan. It's not much, but it's about 4 days or so, just away from here, a little bit cooler weather, and just kind of relax, let our hair down, and enjoy each other's company. And so I won't be doing any of the videos through that. So we're taking a little bit of a break, I guess, is what I'm trying to share with you. But we're not going to take a break for long, because we've got to get right back into it. I've got one more scene that I want to set up. There's no building. It's just going to be the creepy circus that I did last season. We're going to display that a little bit later on in a next week or two. Once that's done, and quite honestly, once the weather cools down a little bit, we still need to decorate a little bit of the outside, the backyard. Specifically, I want to kind of take you guys on a full tour this year. I know you've asked to see the dogs. That's why I told you about Indy. Obviously, Libby and Justice. They will kind of lead that video, and they definitely want to show you out back and their decorations and where they like to spend a lot of their time running and playing and things like that. So you got that to look forward to. And by the way, if I haven't said it before, the home tour is my favorite video to shoot every year too, because it means a couple of things. It means, one, I'm done building for Halloween, and two, it's all set up and displayed. And so now you can just sit back and enjoy it and look at it, and then you start critiquing and making notes for what you're going to do and fix for the next season. So speaking of that, let's now turn our attention to what else we've got planned coming up this year and into next year. Okay, so speaking of the rest of this season, what is coming the rest of this season? And then as we progress out of fall and into Christmas, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and then what's coming in the following year into 2024. So we've got a few things planned. I've always been thinking and trying to figure out what's coming next and what I want to build and what I want to start collecting. And so let's talk about some of that. So I've got all this stuff written down on my iPad, so I'm just going to kind of read it off. None of these are in any particular order, but I do know which one I want to do next. I think it'll be fantastic. And we'll talk about that, but let me just kind of run through these real quick. We'll save that one for last and talk about it last. But one of the ones that I want to do, kind of getting into next year, is a fall display. I wanted to do one for this season. If you remember last year, I said I wanted to kind of put that on the list, and it's still on the list. It didn't go anywhere. It never materialized. Just became overcome by events with other things going on and other bills that I wanted to sort of out prioritize that. But two of my favorite fall pieces are just kind of sitting in a cupboard, not being utilized because we didn't build anything for it. And that would be Jack's Pumpkin Carving Studio and the Apple Barn, two of my all-time fall favorites in my collection. And so really want to kind of put the pen to paper and kind of design it. It's going to be a fairly big display with quite a bit of fall pieces, and then try to get that set up going into next season. So ideally it'd be great to do that in the springtime or late winter time and try to get that started. So you'll see that as we go through and build it. That will be coming next year. One of the other things that I want to do is I want to take one of our Rest in Peace crypts. Speaking of, favorite things to collect, I love the crypt series. And I've got a couple of different types of crypts. I've got the 2015 that's not displayed, that's the Egyptian crypt. And then I've got the other crypt, the Larry and Walter, I think it is, Walter and Larry's crypt. It's a little bit bigger in size, but I want to take one of those crypts and kind of build a small, very small, one crypt, highly detailed vignette. And I'm talking maybe a small little resin creek running through it. Let's make it incredibly real looking and detailed looking, and then some different lighting effects that I'm maybe experimenting with some different types of LEDs and I think that would be a really cool thing to just teach and show you that just with one crypt, how cool you can make a vignette look. Doesn't have to be a whole display, a whole village. You can do that with just one piece. And so I kind of want to showcase that off. So that's coming. I don't know when we're going to get to that either, just like most of these. But rest assured, that is on the list of things to be due. I think you guys will like that one. I'm looking forward to it. One of the other ones that I'm working on, this is one that I taught at a live class at Millie's Hallmark a few months ago. And it's where we take a those big pumpkins, those big orange pumpkins that are foam. They're hollow on the inside. We cut a portion of that out and we put a display on the inside of that. I did that at Millie's with some LED lighting. Maybe I said 3D lighting with the crypt. If I did, I meant LED lighting. And take some of that LED lighting into that pumpkin. It really makes a difference. And I would like to show you sort of a before with maybe a crypt or something into something small into that pumpkin, and just light it normally, and then throw some LEDs in for effect. And it's almost, it's just a very cool effect to see the before and after of that. The folks at Millie's absolutely loved that display. I think it taught them a lot. It teaches you a lot about the LED lighting and just how to use lighting to your advantage to help you light a scene. And so that is another thing that's going to be on the list to come up, and I think you guys will absolutely love that too. I was also able to get some vellum paper for printers, and I've been able to print a couple of things out that I think we can kind of cast light through as sort of some backdrops for a few of these smaller vignettes. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it'll blow your socks off when you see it, but we got to get there first. So you'll get to see that. That's another build that is coming up. One of the other things that I'm working on, or going to start working on at some point in the off season, is I feel that I've grown as a villager, a village builder, an artist, or whatever you want to call that skill, if there is such a thing. And I think I've grown a little bit since I first started. And when I started setting up Manor Row this year, I looked at it and it's old. I had to go through and redo some parts and pieces. I've got a lot of different techniques that I think I've gotten better at. that just simply don't exist in Manor Row. And so what I think I might do, probably will do, it's on the list to be done, is we're going to go through and we're going to reconstruct and rebuild Manor Row. Now, when you see it in the home video, and you saw the video of it already, as it's sitting there, I think it looks great. It looks fantastic. It's when you start disassembling it and looking at it, really close, I can see a big difference. And so I want to redo that to get it up to the caliber and the standard of where I'm at today versus when I built that a couple of years ago. And so that's on the list to do. That'll be another big undertaking. You saw that's 10 and a half foot long or so to get that all built. So that'll be a pretty big undertaking there, but that'll be a cool one. So I got that to look forward to, as you guys do as well. One of the other things that I'm looking to do is I just did this at the Millie's class this weekend. So if you guys were able to go out and see the Millie's class, I appreciate it. I took the Proxxon out there. It quit working about halfway through the demonstration. The wire broke. I didn't have anything to, long story short, it was a mess. We made our way through it, but it was a mess. But what I want to do, and you saw some of the pictures I think I posted on social media, Facebook, really, on some of the forums and website, the Facebook sites that we go to for Department 56 and LEMAX and Spooky Villages and all that stuff, was the railroad. And several folks have asked, hey, do you collect railroad? If you were to do a railroad, how would you do it? Well, I don't collect railroads. I'm not going to collect railroads. I've got one piece of my collection for railroads, and that's the 25th anniversary silver bullet piece. That's the only one that I have. That's probably the only one that I will get. But I know a lot of you do collect it. I know a lot of you have the entire gamut from A to Z for the train. And so I think by building and demonstrating, kind of going through step by step and showing you how we're going to do the train track, you're going to get a lot of use out of that for those that have the train. We can do curved pieces, straight pieces, short pieces, long pieces. You could build your whole train layout by using the methodology that I'm going to show you in that one. So that one's coming up also here in the not so distant future. So you got that to look forward to as well. Another one that I'm looking at is, so there's a couple of, I think they're called NECA, N-E-C-C-A, I believe, the figures. I collect Pennywise stuff. You guys know that. He's in almost every village. If you look really close, you'll probably find him. Actually, Pennywise is a her. If you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you'll find it in almost every village that I've got in certain areas at certain times. He or she, it likes to move around. And so what I want to do is I want to do a different sewer scene with a much bigger figure. And I want to do kind of inside a circular sewer with some murky water in the bottom, which will obviously be a resin pour. Some lighting and just a really detailed, nasty mess of some sort of a display that we can use. I'll share that with you on the video, and we'll go through that one as we're creating that one too. I think that'll be a little change of pace for what we typically do, but I think it'll help to expand our creativeness and give us something else to focus on for a little while. So we've got those to build, and I may do a couple of different ones. I've got plenty in my collection to choose from, so we may do various ones of those as we get farther into designing and thinking about what we're going to build. And then I think the one that I really am excited about, and the one that I want to do next, there's a couple of Halloween houses that are my absolute favorite, hands down. One of them is Mordecai Mansion. And I've only got one of them. You've seen it. It's in Manor Row. I spent way too much to get that into my collection, but it is one of my all-time favorites. A very close second, maybe even tied for first, and not nearly as expensive, is Grimsley Manor. Grimsley's is just your when you look and hear the words haunted house, that's the vision that I get, is a house that would look like Grimsley's. And so I've got two of them. One is displayed in Manor Row, so we're not going to touch that. But I do have a second one. It's not as nice as the one displayed in Manor Row, but it's nice enough. And what I want to do is I want to take Grimsley's Manor. I want to take Grimsley's Garage, which I just acquired specifically for this vignette that I want to create and what I want to teach on. And I want to go from A to Z, start to finish. The subscription base with you guys is growing, and I'm thankful for that because it helps me out. It shows me that you're interested in what we're doing. But I get asked, and I love the questions, don't get me wrong, but I'm always getting asked questions that I've covered before in different videos, or questions that that maybe they haven't subscribed and they weren't notified, and they're like, well, how did you do this? And I'm like, well, that was in a video 2 days ago, and let me shoot you that video so you can see that. And so what I think I would like to do is to kind of start back to the basics. So if you don't have a big collection, you don't have the entire Witch Hollow or the entire Crypt collection, you're just starting and you've got one or two pieces. So what I want to do is go back to the basics, but I want to make the basics incredibly detailed and incredibly cool to look at. And so what I envision is I want to take Grimsley Manor, I want to take Grimsley's Garage, I want a slanted driveway coming out, I want the sidewalk, I want the street, I want the steps, I want all that, I want the grass, the trees, and the whole 9 yards. But I think the way that I want to do this one is, let's start with tutorial number 1. That is going to simply be the design process. How do we think about this? How do we draw it out? What's it supposed to look like in our mind? And then how do we translate that onto our canvas, or in our case, our foam? Part 2 would then go into how are we going to cut the foam to get those desired effects? How are we going to detail the foam? What tools are we going to use? Maybe part 3 is how do we look at painting it? What types of paint? What order do we go in? Do we mix anything? What is a wash? And can kind of go through every single step from start to finish. And I envision this display is probably going to be, I'm holding my hands up like you can see how big that is, but probably 15 inches, maybe 15 to 18 inches in length, no more than that, maybe 20 inches, I don't know, but no bigger than that, and maybe 18 to 20 inches wide, deep. And so very, very detailed, very small display that you could fit on a bookshelf or somewhere else. We will cover how to do grouting into the stonework. If we're going to do cobblestones, how do we do that? I'll show you cuts on the Proxxon. We'll go through every single step. We won't skip anything. I would like to do this when it's a little bit cooler, so that way we can go out without the camera shutting down, we can paint, we can glue, we can do all that. The idea here is to show you how to do a display from start to finish that covers really everything that we do. So it'll be a very in-depth, huge tutorial, but when you're done, you should be able to build just about anything off of those concepts. I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully you guys are excited about that. And that's what I'd like to start really working on maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's probably when we'll start shooting videos again, if we don't do the home tour first. So when's the home tour coming? We get back, not next week, we'll be gone. We get back, and then we'll probably start looking at setting up, if I don't get to it this week, and I may get to it this week, of setting up that circus display. And then we're ready to shoot the home tour once we get the outside, the backyard done. So that's kind of where we're at. That's still a lot to do, kind of taking us up through this season. And then, as you guys know, and I've been asked a whole lot of this as well, what are you going to build for Christmas? Well, the answer to that is nothing. It's not that I don't love Christmas. We absolutely love Christmas. I'll do another home tour for Christmas because we do have a pretty spectacular display that we set up, a couple of them with some vignettes as well, for the Christmas and holiday season. And so that will all be set up, but I don't plan on building anything else to kind of accompany that. And let me tell you some of the reasons why. I have run out of storage space to store buildings and accessories and trees and platforms, and I'm just out of space. And while I would like to collect everything under the moon and continue to do all that stuff, it's just not practical. And we're not going to get another house. That's out of the question. So we're stuck with what we've got, and we're trying to make do with that. And so I'm going to scale back a little bit and just really focus on the areas that I like to create. We love Christmas. You guys know my religious affiliation. I am a true Christ follower, and I believe in that every step of the way. And so don't think that we don't enjoy Christmas, because we absolutely do. But I enjoy building Halloween. It's just my thing. So we will decorate for Christmas. We'll do another home tour, and you'll get to see that for Christmas. So that's kind of a all-encompassing kind of where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going. We've got bills that will take us all the way through into the next season. And then I didn't even put on the list the Sleepy Hollow stuff, because we've got Ichabod Crane's house, we've got the Gunpowder the Horse, we've got Ichabod the figure himself, then we've obviously got the Headless Horseman from All Department 56. So I will also be doing a vignette to cover those. Again, I want to do a very detailed, very in-depth tutorial to make those pieces just really spectacular, because that's one of my favorites to collect as well. So you've got that one to look forward to also coming up in the following season. So subscription base, we're over 20, well, let me see it. I'm gonna pull it up real quick while my iPad kind of shut down on me. So give me a second here, and I'll kind of tell you real time where we're at. And so we are sitting at 3,575 subscribers as I am doing this video here. And I just want to say thank you to every single subscriber. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, because it certainly it helps me out personally. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy your comments. I enjoy teaching. And so it's good to subscribe. If you haven't done that, please consider doing so. So hopefully you've liked this video as well. If you have, make sure you click the like button. And I've shared a lot with you this evening, but I felt it was time. I needed to give you sort of an update. So this will be the last video for probably a week or two while we're kind of doing some personal things. And then we'll come back, we'll get everything squared up, and we'll get that home tour, because I know you guys are looking forward to that. So, hey, until we talk again next time, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again real soon.